A former Pence aide has spoken out, and she has released a video indicating that she will be voting for Joe Biden. Her name is Olivia Troye, and she was actually the Homeland Security advisor to Pence for 2 years. She was a high-level advisor, but apparently the way the Trump administration has handled coronavirus has pushed her to her limits, and she's had enough. We have a video of her explaining more. Let's take a look.
I'm Olivia Troy. I was Homeland Security and Counterterrorism Advisor to Vice President Pence and served as Vice President Pence's lead staff member on the COVID-19 response. You know, I'd been on the COVID task force from day one. I mean, the virus was very unpredictable at the beginning. There were a lot of unknowns, but towards the middle of February, we knew it wasn't a matter of if COVID would become a big pandemic here in the United States. It was a matter of when. But the president didn't want to hear that because his biggest concern was that we were in election year and how is this going to affect what he considered to be his record of success?
So I do give her credit for speaking out. I mean, we've heard from anonymous Trump officials who are too cowardly to go on the record and explain why they're speaking out against him. I think that it's also particularly courageous for a woman to speak out against Donald Trump and Mike Pence the way that she did in that video. But look, yeah, the Trump administration has intentionally downplayed the virus to help Donald Trump out with his reelection. And Cenk, you made, in my opinion, one of the best points about why Trump wanted to minimize the virus. It's because he wanted to ensure that the stock market wasn't impacted in any negative way. Of course, that also has to do with helping him win his reelection. But more importantly, it also serves his own financial interests. There's no question about that either. So the more people who speak out, the better. But again, I just really want to emphasize, if Biden wants to win, he can't just rely on people hating Trump or Trump officials coming out against him. He also needs to really step up his game with campaigning because he's certainly falling behind. He still has a slight lead over Trump in swing states, but Trump continues to close that gap, and it's a huge issue.
So first of all, on coronavirus reaction, Donald Trump, now there's no dispute, downplayed coronavirus when he knew that it was incredibly lethal. We have him on tape saying it, he's confirmed it. And he said privately that it was like the plague. And he said back in February how deadly and serious it was and how it was way worse than the flu. But he downplayed it. Why? Because he wanted to win an election and he thought the stock market being up is the thing that would help him win the election. Later, he created another giant problem because of his ego and his vanity. He didn't like the way he looked in a mask, so he started an anti-masking campaign, and that is part of the reason why we lead the world in cases and deaths of coronavirus, because of this fool's vanity. So these things are not in dispute. So this is somebody who was in the room telling you, oh no, that's exactly what happened. And so we knew how serious it was, and Trump went out and lied to all of you. And when he lied to you, you had a false sense of security. And now a couple 100,000 Americans are dead because of that. So now the second point is, look at the courage that she has. As opposed to Mad Dog Jim Mattis and John Kelly and so many other former officials who are too worried about etiquette. Well, I mean, the Dudeclan and Queensberry rules say that in the club, we don't talk about the president after we served him. I'm following rules of etiquette. Oh, are you? Is that the kind of general you were? You just put on white gloves and all you cared about was etiquette? Mad Dog, hilarious, okay? John Kelly, all these guys who are supposed to be tough guys. She just embarrassed you. It's like, this is what courage looks like. Where are you? You're hiding? You know how terrible Donald Trump was. You're the ones leaking all the information to the press. We know that you guys are in the Woodward book. We know what you actually think, but you're sitting there hiding in a little cave in a bunker, John Kelly and Jim Mattis, and you won't be straightforward with the American people. She has 10 times the courage that you guys have. You think you're patriots? The country's on the line, democracy's on the line, and you know that, and you're sitting in a bunker. That's really sad and pathetic.
So Mike Pence has responded to these allegations, which by the way, aren't even allegations at this point. We've heard Donald Trump in audio recordings multiple times, confessing to intentionally downplaying coronavirus. And so Pence's response to this is ridiculous. He just says what you would expect someone to say about a former colleague, or in this case, an aide. Reads to me like one more disgruntled employee who's left the White House, decided to play politics during an election year. So no, she's really putting herself out on the line by speaking out, but again, speaking out in the way that she did, putting out this video, not hiding her identity, and calling out the Trump administration for its complete and utter disregard for human lives. And she certainly does deserve some credit for that. And I also want to note, although she did serve as a Homeland Security advisor to Pence, she later helped work as an aide in the coronavirus task force. And so she had a firsthand look at what was going on behind the scenes, which is part of the reason why she's speaking out. So.
Yeah, and last thing about this is, look, guys, understand she's not stating a political opinion. She's not saying, hey, you know what? I think taxes should be higher. I think there should be less regulation or more regulation. No, she's telling you facts. She was in the room. She knows that they downplayed coronavirus. She knows that they knew that it was deadly serious. They knew that they were going to cost people's lives, and they didn't care. They played politics with it. So it's incredibly important for you to know that before the election.